Coming up, we have Kirk Windmuller talking about Project Transition USA, everything that you need to figure out before you even transition. He's talking about life insurance, money preparation. He's talking about all the different things, like even having to leave so you can have some time off after you're done with the military to help you get that job. Look, Kirk, coming up next. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, it is yours truly once again, the corporate security translator and the author of So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, which, by the way, is going on pre-sale next week, so I'm excited about it. But I'm hanging out with the man today, Kirk Windmuller, and you don't understand this guy. You're talking about special forces to nonprofits. You're talking about a great military leader out to the awesome corporate leader and operations, military operations, security technologies. I mean, I cannot wait to see what we're going to talk about, Kirk. What is going on, man?
Carlos, thanks for having me, man. Good to talk to you. And great intro, man. How you top that?
Well, let me tell you. Hold on. I'm going to top it with the clap. There you go. We got claps going on, buddy. Hey, I'm so happy that you're able to find a little bit of time. I know you're super busy. You're doing some awesome stuff, which is incredible for me, man. All that military transition plan, or all the nonprofit time that you do with Transition USA, and the LinkedIn workshop videos you've done. Guys, gals, I am telling you, you got to go find Kirk on LinkedIn. Look at the stuff that he has. It's incredible. Anyways, look, I could sell you like this no tomorrow. I'm a good, ice to Eskimo seller. That's my mom used to say when I was a kid. But look, I don't want to really get too much of your time. You have an awesome career. I'd love for you to share with the folks, man, everything and anything about yourself, bud.
Well, sure, yeah. So I got my commission into the Army through ROTC at the Citadel, and I was commissioned as a medical service corps officer, and I did my first tour in Germany, and then I decided to try something completely different and joined Special Forces, and I just spent the rest of my career, ended up about 22 and a half years in Special Forces, and the last 6 or so with JSOC. So I transitioned out in 2018 into a contractor position and did that for a few years. And now I'm working with a company called Avantis Federal Services, who provides support mostly to the intelligence community, but Homeland Security and DOD, and now we're expanding into the special operations community as well. So I do business development with those as a senior manager with Avantis. So wow. I live in Fayetteville. I got a wife and 3 little kids and a lab named Ellie. So Ellie. Life is good.
Hey, that's awesome. And you still find time to give back, man. I mean, that's one of the things I got to find out. This is something I think I need to learn from all the Special Forces folks that I talk to, because, you know, y'all never slowing down, man. It's like I got this whole career. I got all the side projects. And I think what I get out of it is that the folks like yourself do all these side projects to connect back to the military because of the love that you have for it. And you're always just, how do I give back? How do I get people better situated from when they retire to, you know, better than me, better than even what I was and where I went, you know? So, man, I don't know how you do it, but I got to learn from you, bud. Got a trick or two for me? You know, how do you do it?
Well, I felt it was the least I could do for the folks behind me. When I was transitioning out, I had help from my boss who had retired just a few years earlier, but besides him, there weren't a lot of folks to talk to, because everybody that gets out is usually gone, and, you know, they don't look back, and you don't have a chance to, you know, to talk to them. So it's all, you know, everybody that retires or transitions out basically leaves. And so all that knowledge goes. So I've made it my mission to kind of document everything as I was going through, and try to leave some breadcrumbs to the folks behind me and make their life a little easier. Because the transition's tough. I mean, it's a stressful event, soul-sucking event, right?
Oh man, and I've heard some nightmares too. And then, you know, you hear some folks that they're trying to transition even before they really think about getting out. They're getting job offers, and then you hear some folks that they try, and they just can't get across that corporate security hoop, I guess you could say. And so everybody's experience is a little bit different, but you have had an awesome experience. And one of the things that I always ask the folks that come on the podcast is that I know the transition can be weird at times, especially from going from military into the corporate world. I don't know. Can you share with the folks maybe like one or two things that you came across when you first kicked off your corporate world journey, and you're like, oh man, this is different. I'm going to have to learn quick.
Well, I think that one of the biggest things you're going to realize is that the culture change from the military to the corporate world is it takes a little bit of adjusting to get used to that. But just know that you're leaving a tribe, right?
Yep.
And you're joining a new tribe, and then it's a change of mission for you too. So you're when you're in the military, it was fate of the free world and saving humanity and all that. And you've got a different mission now when you're in the corporate world. So you're profit driven, and you've got other goals and stuff. So it's a bit of a change, and the more you identify with the military, the tougher that change is going to be for you. But for some people, it's easy to take off the uniform and start their next career and then never look back, right? And other folks have a tough time with it. And I think there's the high suicide rate for folks. I don't know if there's a direct correlation to job satisfaction when they get out, but I'm sure that's a factor in there somewhere. So I want to see people get land great jobs when they get out, and something satisfying to them, and just add to their ability to lead a happy life.
Yeah. Absolutely. And very unselfish of you. And I'll keep on saying this, man, because anybody that takes time sometimes away from their family to just help a brother or sister out there that's just trying to kind of go into the corporate world, man, that you deserve a whole lot of claps. There you go. More claps for you. So, but, you did mention something, and I think we talked about it slightly right before this, was the mission piece that is difficult for people to kind of transition from the military into the corporate world. And I mentioned the interview that I had with Althoff, and I'll plug him in on this conversation too. And he brought up that the sense of mission for him is gone from what he remembered. He knew exactly what the mission was, what he needed to do to accomplish it, and he had the brothers and sisters around him, and everybody had the same mentality, same goal, same end. They knew where we're going, and he tends to not find that directly in the corporate world. And you mentioned that could be part of the suicide that is happening out there with the military folks. That could be it, because you can't find a mission. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, Al I think he was all over it. He was exactly correct, in his analysis. So I don't disagree with anything he had to say. I do think that there's, you get to the world, you're going to face some challenges, right? So you've got your skills that you bring with you from the military, and most people have a hard time kind of translating those into the corporate speak, but that's going to be one of your tasks in your last year. But the thing you don't bring with you is the industry experience, right? So you may be behind your corporate peers in that respect, but you're bringing to the table a lot of important, intangible skills, the ability to work as a team, to do tough missions, to never quit, grit, all these great things that the military taught you. Those are the things you really have to capitalize on when you get out. But if you just understand this, I'm on my second job after my military retirement, and it's a second career change. So different job and different company. So I was a technologist for 3 years, and now I'm doing business development, which is completely a different field. So if you don't like the job you're in, or you don't think it was a good fit, then guess what? You can just go get another job. I mean, it's just that simple. It's not like when you're in the military where you were forced to go from, one position to the next over 20 years. Maybe some of them you loved, some of them you didn't. You get complete freedom to change jobs, change companies, move to a different state or city or whatever you want to do. So, don't feel like you're locked into one job, that first job, for the rest of your life when you get out. If you didn't like it, look around and find something different.
And that's it too. So it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people that come out of the military, they think, look, they gave me a chance, they gave me a job, I am faithful to these people, and I am, I'm a team player, and it doesn't matter how much I'm suffering, I'm going to stay right here, and I'm going to work for this company because they put faith in me, and here I am. It doesn't matter how sucky their job is, they stay in. But one thing I noticed, especially in the tech industry, if you look at people's resumes, it's like every 2-3 years or so, they're either moving on to something else or they're doing whatever the case may be in the tech industry. And this, by the way, this is for all the military, law enforcement, emergency service, and federal folks. Listen to me and listen to me clearly. And you might be able to jump in on something that I'm about to say, which is, it's okay. It's okay after 2 to 3 years for you to move out, because usually what happens is that you move up, not only financially, but you move up in position. When you start with one company, you're leveled at a certain level. And a lot of tech companies are like that, where they set you at a level. You're a level person. So either individual contributor, IC level 4, 5, 6, 7, or a manager level 1, 2, director level 1, 2. And when you get in that position, that's about where you're going to be for a while. Unless you're a crazy rock superstar, you're not going right. So what a lot of people do after a couple of years, they start looking for a new job at a higher position, a higher pay somewhere else. And that's what we call the circle of the tech companies here in Silicon Valley, where I live, because they'll leave Facebook and they'll go to Google or something like that. When you were making that change, how was your experience? Was it something that you needed to do for yourself? It was a new opportunity, better opportunity. How does that go? And I don't even know if you want to talk about it or not, but it might help.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned I was a contractor, and contracting is one of the great things you can do after the military. That's kind of an easy button where your skills typically will translate into a job that looks a lot like the one you were in uniform. And you're probably working for a big defense industry company. I worked for Lockheed Martin, and I enjoyed my time there. But every contracts have a beginning and an end, right? So typically 3 years, but it could be longer. And sometimes those contracts can get extended. Sometimes the contract will end, or sometimes it can go to another company. So this is kind of the turbulent, free market of the contracting world. So my position ended up going to another company, and in the process of that happening, I began looking around for other positions too, other jobs, just to see what I was out there. Because you never know if the next company is going to pick you up or not. So you kind of have to put the periscope up and see what else is going on. So I had an opportunity that came my way, and I couldn't turn it down. So I was happy to try something new. Yeah.
I'm going to use that, the periscope. I had to put the periscope up. My boss is actually a Navy submariner. Don't say submariner, but you get in trouble with that. But anyways, put the periscope up. It's funny. My mom always said it's always good to look for a job while you still have a job. Congratulations. And I think that's what you're saying. That could go all the way back to the military,
Yeah, the best time to look for a job was when you already have one. Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, and when you're transitioning out of the military, that is you have a job, but it is getting a job or finding a new job is a job, and especially in the last few months of that transition period. So if you're you can look at transition on a long timeline, like several years out if you want to. I think there's certain tasks you can do. Far out tasks. I'll be happy to talk about them later, but then you sort of have your final year where you drop your retirement paperwork or your separation paperwork, and then you've got all your medical tasks and your out processing, and then your 6 months you have the opportunity to do a DoD skill bridge program, right? An internship with industry. If you qualify for one, some of them are competitive, you have to get permission from your command to do all that. So that's your chance to try to put your toe in the water of industry and see if that's something you want to do. And you get a chance to spend a few months with an industry of your choice to see if that's what you want to do. But the last few months of your transition go by really quickly. And that's one of the reasons I put the timeline together, so that people tend to get the cart before the horse in their transition, right? So they think that the first thing they got to do is decide on the job they want, right? And then they got to put a resume together, right? So I think everybody kind of starts out. Everybody I've talked to anyway, if you ask them like, so what do you want to do when you retire? Most of them will say, I really don't know. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know what company they want to work for. And this is like, talking a year, maybe 2 years out. Yeah. And that's exactly how I was, Carlos, man. So if you'd ask me that same question, like, I have no idea. I could be I don't know whether I want to go on the World Poker Tour or be an astronaut. So the field is like this big, right? So, but that is natural. That is part of the process. So you have to look at your transition as like a giant reset button.
Yeah, absolutely.
For your life. So you get the chance to try something new. So start with a wide range of possibilities, but then over the course of your 1 or 2 years for your transition, you're going to have to start to narrow that down and to probably a handful of things you want to do, and then decide on an internship that you like, because that you really need, at that point, you kind of need to be over the target with the industry you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the sooner you can, sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I'm agreeing with you, man, because what you're saying, because I'm going to get right back to your military transition planner that you put in. So you can finish your thought, man, because I'm excited to talk about this here for a bit.
Yeah. So, a couple of years out, you still have time, to finish your advanced degree or to get a degree in a field. If you're going to do something completely different or get some certifications in your, the industry you want, whether it's a PMP or, some other, Scrum Master or whatever, there's like certifications for basically every field out there. So if you really need to have it narrowed down to what you want, because you're going to burn a lot of energy if you're just chasing after certifications with kind of no direction. And I kind of fell into that trap. Like, I'm going to get this cert and this cert and this cert before I get out. Cause it's almost, I don't want to say it's desperation, but if you don't know what you want to do, then you're starting to grab at things, and that's really inefficient. You're wasting your time doing some of these things that could be better spent elsewhere. Like doing, finding a mentor and doing informational interviews to kind of narrow down what you want to do. Talk with people in the industries that you're interested in. That's the best way to get information on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing, the reason why I love your military transition planner when I saw is because in the book that's coming out, So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, I actually cover 5, 3, and 1 year. That's it. That's exactly it. That's right there. And please go to Kirk's page on LinkedIn. You'll be able to find it. But what I thought about it when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this coming from the corporate side and looking at what you did, I'm like, I wrote about what people should be doing 5, 3, 1, but not having the intricacies of that internal piece that you had. I said, man, I was going to reach out to Kirk, and maybe Kirk and I together from the corporate side and the military side put together what I think they should be doing at those 5 years, 5, 3, 1 as their transition. So Kirk, let's get together and get that done. But I thought, man, this is brilliant what you did, and it's going to help a lot of people out. But there's a piece too that you mentioned, and you mentioned this in another interview that I thought was great. I do not have some type of top secret clearance. I don't. Okay. Been in the field forever, just never needed. Never worked for Lockheed, though Lockheed was right behind my house in Orlando, Florida, down on Sand Lake Road, where I grew up. And if we walked around the sidewalk there, crazy people come out and ask you questions of what the hell are you doing here kind of thing, which was a lot of fun as a young teenager drinking beers on the back road of Orlando. But you mentioned something about those top secret clearances. And along with the military transition plan, maybe you could talk a little bit about how important that was. And I think your piece was about trying to keep it as you're leaving, because, you can hold it for a couple of years after that. I thought that was brilliant. I don't cover that enough. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. If you're going into the defense industry, national security professional type field, a security clearance can be very valuable for you. And typically the higher the level of your clearance, the bigger the paycheck is going to be for you. Yes. Right. So it's important to, if you have a clearance in the military, and you have any control over it, make sure your clearance doesn't expire when you need it the most, which is like when you're interviewing for jobs and you need to, and you're basically trying to come on board with a new company.
Right.
So if it's tough to time that, obviously, but if you have to do a few more months, to get your clearance up, re-adjudicated or whatever, and then, reset the clock on it, because it's 5 years for a top secret clearance. But before
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to keep your clearance up if you want to go into that line of work.
Yeah, especially for those companies, like you said, that are what I call them semi-governmental, or semi-militaristic companies, kind of like the ones that work with those contracts. And I mean, it costs a lot of money for these companies. I remember last time I saw it was like 35,000, I think it was, just to try to get some. I don't even know what it is today. I don't. Would you happen to know how much it costs a company to?
Yeah, that's over the target. I think it's like $25,000 to $30,000 for
like that
lifestyle poly or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I thought that was a good point that you made in another interview that I watched that I rarely ever covered. They look, because I'm not involved with it. That's you big timers, you big time military folks that are involved with those kinds of clearances. But it's extremely important to the outside world.
And hey, one more point on that, Carlos.
Oh yeah,
if companies would rather hire a person that has the clearance or is eligible for clearance than hire somebody with the talent and no clearance, because that's a huge risk for them, right? If they're ineligible to get their clearance after they hire them, that they can't put them into the work that they're doing, right? So they're better off hiring somebody with a clearance and then training them up to the task. So just know that that's, if you've got one, that's one of those things you want to market along with your brand.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I see you wearing the Avantis shirt, and I kind of love it, man. I love it. And by the way, folks, you can't see it right now because it'll come out on audio on a Tuesday and then video, but you'll be able to see it later on. But it seems like a cool gig, man. And just to kind of explain to the folks a little bit about what you do, if that's okay, for the folks that are transitioning, if they're looking for a job like that when they get out, kind of what is it that you're doing with Avantis, and how did the military kind of help you to where you are today with that company?
Yeah, so I'm on the business development team at Avantis, and we basically, try to win opportunities for our company, and we compete with other defense contracting companies for these big contracts, right? So it could be intelligence related, space related, software, whatever. There's a whole range of different things we compete for. Now we're trying to get into the SOCOM space as well. But we provide a lot of things to the government, but the most important thing we provide is just exceptional humans, right? We pride ourselves on the high quality folks. We have a lot of folks that are cleared and then do just high-end intel work, analysis, software development, and a bunch of other things. So a lot of talented folks. I was fortunate to be able to join the team there.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, and now going back to something else, let's see if I can tie it back together. Before you leave the military, you should be doing exactly what Kirk said, meeting with folks in the industry. Go shake hands and hug babies with somebody from the tech industry. And then go ask them, hey, what is it that you do? What is it about? How do I go? Go find somebody like Kirk that's kind of doing that side of the world, that kind of business, and say, hey, Kirk, what is it that you do? What do you don't do? And all these other things. Go find somebody that might be in the banking industry. Banking love a lot of folks that are coming out of the military as well. I see that, and they go see what they're doing. Ask a lot of questions when you're doing those things. I think those meetup meetings about 5 years out, as you're starting to slowly hone in, like you said, Kirk, because you could start really wide. I can't tell you. I worked for Disney for 21 years. I think there was like this retirement thing that when you retired, your HR department in the military literally gave everybody a pamphlet for Walt Disney World security. And they said, hey, everybody, they're taking everybody at Walt Disney World security. You had some amazing folks, that in NYPD too. It looked like everybody retired from NYPD and went to Disney. But I think that is key, because I hate for you to jump in like your first gig and you have like a bad taste of what corporate security is about. I don't know, man.
Yes, and I'll throw a plug in for LinkedIn here, because the earlier folks get on LinkedIn, the better off they are. And if if you're using it, it's social media, right? But it's a more professional website. But if you're just on there scrolling through your feed for 45 minutes to an hour, you're not really using LinkedIn the powerful way that it's built to be. It is really a giant search engine. It's a people finder. So I mean, if you learn to be a power user on LinkedIn and search out people in your field of interest, your field of industry, and you can find people that have, you can adjust the filters on there. But if you want to find somebody that served in the Army or just the military in general that works in that particular field, that maybe lives, in your city or whatever, you can connect with them. Just reach out to them and say, hey, don't ask them for a job, but ask them to say, hey, I'm thinking about, I'm getting out in the next year, thinking about doing work in this field. Just wanted to pick your brain on some stuff. I tell you, like 9 out of 10 times, people would be more than happy to help a vet and just talk to
Yep.
them. But if you go to them and say, hey, look, here's my resume, what do you think? Then that's probably going to turn them off immediately. So
No, and that's what I do.
Don't lead with that, right? build a relationship.
100%. I get these all the time. I don't know if you do, Kirk, but I get it all the time where literally the first message I get from somebody is, hey, Carlos, I see this job at Facebook. Here is my resume. Can you put me in for it? Come on. Look, we all been in this field. We all been in these fields for a long time. And there's no way in the world that I'm putting my name on somebody that literally never talked to me, never created a relationship with me, never talked about my kid, never talked about the weather in California compared to the rest of the world, never cared about, I don't know, even talk about Mickey Mouse because it's always fun. Everybody goes, oh, wow, you work for this. Not even a simple starter conversation like that. And all of a sudden you say, hey, man, can you put me in for this? That's not going to work. I don't know if you're getting those. Did you ever get one of those?
Carlos, I get those a lot. And I can tell you that when you get one of those, that's the first one you kind of ignore and go to the next one down, right?
Right.
I would rather click on somebody with a connection request and no message than somebody that's like, hey, pass my resume, would you? I can't stand that. But, I look through, my connections, and if I've got a, ongoing conversation with them for like the last several months and, they're commenting, back and forth on my posts, engaging with me, I'm like actually, more than happy to go to bat for them and pass their name on to, our HR folks at our company. I mean, it's all about building that relationship first, and little touch points along the way go really far. And so does a personalized note when you connect with somebody. So if you're going to connect with somebody to do an informational interview, you better put a note on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single thing. And I know that you work for the transition group, I think USA, am I correct?
Project Transition USA.
Transition USA. And, I work a little bit with Veterati, which is another one that you can actually go in there.
Yep.
Yep. And so I'm one of those mentors there. You got to get on these mentorship opportunities. You got to get with Project Transition USA groups, man, that are helping you through the process. I think you need to take every opportunity you possibly can to do it right. So you don't have to fail at it when you're about a year out and you go, oh, crap.
I tell you, Project Transition USA saved my bacon, man. I had no idea what I was doing. And I'd never been on LinkedIn. And I took the LinkedIn workshop that they run down in McDill. And
good old Tampa.
And that got me started on LinkedIn, man. And the rest is history. But that's, Nancy Lane and her group down there. She's been teaching, vets how to use LinkedIn to find their next career for like almost 8 years now. So, and unfortunately our workshops have been, scuttled because of COVID right now. So hopefully they'll go back again soon, but she's put, all the a lot of the important classes online. So with the Project Transition USA. So if you get your users to, your listeners to check that out too. And all those, if they join the group page, they can have access to all the, those great little 1 hour seminars that she has on there.
Listen, I'm throwing that on. Oh, I'm throwing them in there, man, for sure. Anything to help folks transition is the way to go, man. That's my passion. Obviously, it's your passion. It's my side gig, as my wife says, a side gig that doesn't make us any money. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'm all right with that. Sometimes I don't know. It's better than doing drugs. And my mom said when I was young, stay away from drugs. See, I listened to my mom. There you go, wifey. That's how my wife and I get along,
Smart lady, right?
Hey, Kirk, we're slowly coming down, man, here with probably the last minute or two. And I like to leave the folks with just one or two tidbits, man. If you can just throw it out at them, a couple of things that any of the military, law enforcement, emergency services, or federal career folks that are transitioning, what they should keep an eye out for, do what they need to do, throw them out, man. A couple of little tidbits there.
Yeah, sure. So for the folks that are transitioning out and you're like way early and you're kind of in the decision process, how long you're going to stay. I put on the chart, like up front, the upper left-hand corner, 4 things that I think you can do like right now that don't require too much effort, right? The first one is, save up some leave, 60 days worth of leave, because you're going to need that for your job hunting period. So the military is going to give you a month, and then you can use 60 days of your leave. So you got basically essentially 3 months to do your job hunting, right? So you're getting a full paycheck from the government for the military. You're basically your clean slate. All your military tasks should be complete by then. So you've worn the uniform for the last time, and now you're just in your job hunting phase. So that's number one. Number two is it's important to do your financial prep ahead of time. So everybody has a tendency to live up to their income level. When you start thinking about your transition, a couple of years out, think about things like having some savings, like about 3 months worth of a full paycheck to get you by, after you get out of uniform, after you transition out, just in case your job hunt takes you a little longer than your 3 months of leave and permissive TDY. So you don't want to be under stress to take the first job that comes your way, right? You want to be able to take your time and get the right job for you. And the other part of that financial, savings too, is like try to live a little bit beneath your means, maybe pay off some bills, aside from putting some money away. And I'm talking about putting it into savings. Don't put it into Robinhood or GameStop, right? I'm like cash, like in the bank, so that you have it. Right? So this is like money you don't touch, right? So make that part of your financial look early on. So just make sure you're heading in the right direction that way. And then, and this is always the one that like people's eyes start to glaze over, but it's so damn important because I can't tell you how many people have come up to me or connected with me and said, "Man, I wish I'd have known this before I got out." But look into some life insurance, like a private term life insurance before you get out of the military, man. Because you have Servicemen's Group Life Insurance, SGLI, and that will give your wife and your spouse a $400,000 check if you die. Okay.
Yes.
That ends 180 days after you separate. Mm-hmm. So don't wait until 119 days to look for a replacement for that. Okay. So that you avoid a tragedy on a day, 121 after you transition out. So get insurance while it's cheap, and do that way early, because if you're going to do a disability claim with the VA and they start poking and prodding on you and finding stuff wrong with you, like, sleep disorders and apneas, or maybe a terminal disease, God forbid, then your insurance is going to go through the roof, or you may be uninsurable. So look at that stuff early on and save a ton of money.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
The last thing, and this is pretty important too, is like everybody earned the 9/11 GI Bill as a benefit during their service if you served after 9/11, right? So make sure that you pass that on to your spouse and your kids so that they can use it too. And that comes with an additional active duty service obligation. So do that early. That could add 4 years onto your commitment, but you want to get that done early so that your kids can use it if you're not going to use it. So those 4 things right there, just knock those out early. And then the rest of it, is all on the timeline. Just follow the timeline as a guide, and you should be good to go.
Mr. Windmuller. There it is. That was him. So listen, everybody, we had a chance to talk about a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of notes. You're talking about financial preparation, leave at the end, insurance, life insurances. We talked about Project Transition USA. You're going to be tagged on it. We talked about finding that mission. We found finding the career that you want, the process 5, 3, 1 year out. There's so many things that we covered on this one. And thank you, Kirk, for being an awesome guest. Man, I'd love to do some work with you, but I'm going to be honest. You let me know. We get some of this stuff done.
Well, you bring me back for part 2, and then we'll work on some law enforcement, military transition stuff.
We're going to do like part
plenty of overlap there, yeah?
Part 2. Part 2. All right, man. I appreciate you. Hey, from the corporate security translator and the author of So You Want to Get Into Corporate Security, this is it. We're out. Take care. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.